Hey, let's do a no ums video for April the 3rd. This video I was supposed to do on the 1st, but kind of got away on me. This is no ums number 54. Yeah, I'm in an interesting space at the moment. I have been doing The Need for Words by Patsy Rodenberg, a vocal coach who works with the Shakespeare Company, and going through her book, finding a lot of really good exercises, especially in chapter 5, into words and text, which was a chapter that was just cram packed full of very practical exercises on vocal speaking, not acting, but actually how to just get into language, get into words, how to work on your timbre, your presentation, your connection with words, and how to make those words connect with people who are listening to you, but very much in a speaker way, someone who is speaking their own words. Now, chapter number 6, which in this weird book, which part 1 was the need for words, and part 2 is the voice and the text. Part 1 I was frustrated with because it was largely her opining on the state of language today and how language was so much better back in ye olden days, especially Shakespearean time, where she feels that people had far more of a connection to language. They spoke what they felt, and they felt what they spoke, and it was a golden era, and that is why Shakespeare came out of it, and all the other great playwrights who we don't remember today, because Shakespeare has eclipsed them all as the premier example of that time. So we get a lot of that, which really is a lot of, it does kind of come across as senior citizen ranting. To my mind, that's how it comes across. She's got points. She's got points about degradation of language now. I'm sure people have actually had the same complaints back in Shakespeare's day, to be honest. It's just one of these things of what you idealize, what you have taken as your goal. Part 2, the voice and the text, had, especially chapter 5, had all these really practical exercises for speaking, and I found that really useful. And now, chapter 6, which is supposedly halfway through the book, is working with further texts. And this one chapter seems to take up the entire rest of the book. And it is a big departure. It is Patsy Rodenberg going, oh, well, really anyone who speaks words is an actor, so let's switch over into actor mode, and doing and acting, and how you can at this first section here, and the biggest section there is, surprise surprise, it's how to act Shakespeare, how to read Shakespeare, how to connect with the words of Shakespeare, how to deal with his language, his rhetoric. Now, usefully enough, kind of going through at the beginning, just talking about the various different kinds of rhetoric tools. That is useful. But now we're just getting into deep reads of Shakespeare, which is interesting, but it's kind of off the point of what I am interested in this book. And while the chapter 5, which had all the practical examples, was useful for me for this particular video series that I've been doing of no ums, no ahs vocal videos, of trying to learn, kind of gather up information, gather up tools to hopefully improve how I speak. This chapter, not so much. And I think I was kind of going back and forth. Should I try and find stuff in here and apply it? Because I'm sure there is stuff in here, but I think it's too interspersed with a deep reading of Shakespeare. I tried that. This last vocal video that I did in March, that my last vocal video was in March. I did go through that, and it was a close reading of Shakespeare. And it was tedious, and I don't think it was on point for this, for what I'm trying to achieve here. I'm going to continue reading this chapter, but I'm not going to do it on a week by week session. I'm just going to pick this book up and just read, and pick this book up and read, and pick this book up and read, and just kind of get my way through this chapter. If I happen to stumble upon something that's like, wow, this is really radically new information that I didn't get in chapter 5, because that's the other thing, is I think a lot of the lessons she's using here in Work with Further Text is simply like, oh, let's use the lessons here to be a better actor in chapter 6. And it's like, I'm not interested in being an actor. I'm interested in being a speaker. And yes, I can see where you can make the parallels between the two, but I'm not interested in reciting other people's works for the most part. The only time I do that is when I'm reading out works for my kind of vocal exercises, is reading out works. But in some ways, that is more about reading the work than it is about performing it for an audience, where I have to kind of get into the motivation and I have to come up with different voices. I'm not really interested in that. A lot of people who go into kind of like, oh, I want to improve my vocal performance, it's because they want to become audiobook readers, is one reason, or become actors. I'm not interested in any of that. I'm interested in simply working on my vocal instrument so I can be a better speaker on videos like this. So yeah, I think that's my major thing to report this week. So what my plan will be is that on Thursday, which is it's Monday today, very rapidly approaching. On Thursday, there is a Darren McStay video, which is sort of a new vocal exercise workout, I believe is what it's titled as. I'll go through that, make some notes on Wednesday, and on Thursday I will do a little report, a little exercise through that. And perhaps I will have a new vocal exercise regime to put. At the moment, I've got the tongue twisters, and I've got the facial exercises as two kind of alternating exercise programs. Maybe I'll have a third. Maybe I'll completely scrap one of the ones I have already and just switch to this one. Who knows? We'll see. But I think I'm going to I'll finish Patsy Rudenberg, and I'll probably come back and talk about that. What I'll need to do is kind of go through the vocal video exercises that I've done on each one of her exercises, and just review them, make notes, try and kind of compile them all together, and make one big video on them, or two videos on that. I might have to split it up, because I've been going at Patsy Rudenberg for a long time now. I don't know how many vocal videos I have, all about 10, 15, 20 minutes long, some of them even longer than that. So yeah, that is my plan going forward, is to the next time you'll see Patsy Rudenberg, it will be kind of just an overview of the book, some kind of a compilation thing of the exercises, just so I have those in my head, because there are so many exercises. A lot of them have slipped out of my head, and it'd be good to just write them down, just to have that text document that I could put up on the wall somewhere, and kind of refer to that, because there was a lot of really useful advice, but it was like a lot of advice. There was a lot to learn. And I mean, I went through it by week, so I got to kind of focus each week on something. But it's a ton of stuff, because then I just went on to the next and went on to the next. This will be sort of my final exam from Patsy Rudenberg. And I don't know if I'll do a review of the book itself. I might just, doing the big Urs thing, maybe that will spur me to have some summing up thoughts to have on Patsy Rudenberg's work, and go from there. I'll have to see. All right. I've been Jay. This has been Noums number 54. More videos later.